All right, welcome to the stream. So, we've got a project going on today. Going to be working on a banner image for the channel. So there are a few things that I'm hoping to accomplish with this channel, and one of them is that I want to finish more projects. The idea is that if I'm sharing not just results but progress as I go, I can get some more things done. So one of the things that I'm doing, of course, is streaming to Twitch, putting videos on YouTube. So I'm going to, I've been working on getting ready for that, installing software. I did my first stream yesterday. It was kind of a test. It was a very short stream, but checked the audio, checked the images. Everything was going more or less as I expected, so I'm back again today. And so one of the things I need or want to do is put a banner image up on the Twitch channel and the YouTube channel, and instead of just doing that on my own, I thought maybe it'd be fun to stream as I put this together. So real open-ended, but we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to add a plane here, and I'm actually going to do this twice, and I'm going to match these up to the aspect ratios for these banners. So if I do this as 12 and 4.8, matches up with what Twitch wants. And if I duplicate that, let's take a real quick look. YouTube recommends a 2048 by, oops, yeah, 2048, scaling that by 1152. Oops, did the same thing again. There we go. It's a little more reasonable. So I've got the two of those, and what really matters for me is they don't need to be the same scale relative to each other, so I'm just going to scale one up. I'm going to put that there so they're overlapping, but there's a little bit kind of unique content for the two of them. And so basically, I'm gonna do something. I think I'm gonna use a texture mostly, or a material. So I'll generate that. I'll apply it to both of these, and they'll both get just slightly different information because they'll have a slightly different crop. I'm gonna also do two others. I'm gonna make the first one square. I'm also gonna do like a profile image. So there's one, and I'm gonna duplicate that. I'm gonna go into edit mode here, delete all of those verts, and we're gonna add a circle. Does that work? Can we get a filled circle like that? Let's see. Fill type. Let's do a triangle fan. I don't know if we're going to use any geometry on it. Probably not, but we'll see. I'm going to crank this up a bit. Yeah, we'll call that good. So rotate that. It was already rotated in object mode, so now it matches in edit mode. Okay, so got my four shapes that I'm going to edit on. These two that'll be for the profile pictures. For now, I'm just going to apply the same material as the banner blocks, but then we use that as kind of a base, and then we might customize it some more. So the new, I should have done this before I duplicated all of these, but that's okay. Just apply this all around. And now if I change it, yeah, they all change. Awesome. Okay, so far so good, right? So we're going to continue on here, and I'm just going to start filling out a material that makes these look good. Let's do, this is where anybody who's watching, you're going to see how new I am to some of this. There are pieces I know and some that I don't. But we're going to do, let's see, what do I need? I need a texture coordinates. Where it is. There we go. And then let's start out, let's add just a texture. Let's do a Peroni. This is interesting sometimes. So hook that up to generated. And we'll just plug the color into the base color, and we should get some patterns. There we go. Cool. Now, one thing here is on these rectangles. It's kind of stretched out, or we've got and we've got just a different scaling compared to these. Let's play around with that. We do object, what do we get? Looks a little better, still kind of stretched out on those. I think not that one. There's an option somewhere to remap this, although I think maybe the easier thing to do is if I just add another object here. Oops, not that. So if I just add an empty and then make that the target for the coordinates. Then we use object. There we go. Yes, now everything's using that empty for the coordinates. So you can see if I move that, coordinates move around. But I can also do things like scale it and stretch it, so that'll apply to all. That'll work for now. We'll start with that. So this is kind of interesting. Let's scale this up. And now we've got the basics in. Now we get to think about what we actually want to do. So what I'm thinking, and we'll see if we can put this together. So I want a little bit of a gradient between a few different textures. And going along with the channel name middle entropy, what we're going to do is start with on one side a very low entropy image, just like maybe just a solid color or something very simple. Then we're going to kind of slide through different levels of complexity until on the other side we're going to have a very high entropy sort of image, almost like static or something. So let's start working on that. Let's get another texture in here, and I'm going to add a white noise texture. I'm not completely sure this is what I want. What does this look like? Interesting. Let me give it texture coordinates. Okay, yeah, so this is probably interesting. So if I understand, this should per pixel or even per subpixel should just give a random value. So, and it's per like rendered pixel, not in the so it's not in the texture coordinates. It's like in pixel space, I guess, which is essentially what I was looking for. So let's do a mix between these two, and that I'm not exactly sure how to do, but we're going to figure it out. So I'm going to want a let's see. I want to mix. We can do mix RGB or mix shader, and I think we're working with color data, so do a mix RGB. So that goes into one. This goes into the other, and then we've got our factor. So this is just like a this is just a blend, like a 50-50 blend. So instead of just a single value for the whole thing, I think I want a factor. Let's do a color ramp. I know I'm going to want that. I think it's going to be the final thing that goes into the factor. This is probably just a constant value right now, though, because it has no input. So let's see what we can do about that. Basically, I think I want this to just fade along with the x value, more or less. So if I do a separate x, y, z, put the same coordinate into that, and put the x value in as the factor, and then, hey, look at that. Then we get a nice gradient across. That's pretty cool. And that does, like we would expect, that kind of affects in like a, not a global position, but it affects that empty. So if we move that empty around, that moves the texture coordinate. So that's all right. We can work with that. Although if we do the object's UV coordinates, the object that it's applied to, yeah, then we kind of get the gradient per object, which is nice. And we can make the transition a little bit sharper. If we drag these together, that's pretty cool. Okay. And then next thing I want to do, I feel like it's always a little dangerous to say what you want to do. Because if you just pick nodes at random and then plug them together and see what comes out, you can just claim that's what you wanted. But I think what I want to do is, so I'm going to want this about where it is. I like that position, but I want to rotate this line just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is add this math node. I'm also going to take the z component, I think. So if I add this, I'm expecting it to just go completely like 45 degrees. Nope. Try again. Maybe the y. Yeah, y coordinate did it. Okay. So that's cool. And then just we'll just do some basic math on this. Let's put it where we want. So if I do an add, I could do an add and multiply. I think that's an option here. Multiply, add, yeah. Cool, so the multiplier should change the angle, and then the addition changes where it happens. So yeah, something like that. And you can see this thing here, worried me for a second. That's just a little bit of clipping because I have these applied to. So you're seeing this plane in front of the other one, just why there's the hard edge there. So that's okay. Cool. So that's interesting. I guess there's the question of, is this type of noise actually what we want? I'm going to go back to this view. Actually, let me go. I want to make these brighter, is my thought. So in this view, they're already bright, but I want them to be bright in the render view as well. And I think I can do some emission and get that. Nope. Okay, I'll have to play with that. I know I can move the lamp in front, will help. Let's go over, let's start playing with some other settings. I'll move on. So we're going to use Eevee. I think cycles, this should work as well, but no reason not to use Eevee here, it'll be faster. Let's see, I don't think we need any of these. Let's go to set up, let's take a few minutes, set up camera and lights. So I'm just going to clear the scale and rotation on the camera, load this up, and go into the camera view. Oops, not yet. Back up a bit. And actually, let's go into the camera. Let's just make it orthographic camera. So then we'll be looking, if I go to the camera view, just straight at the at those planes. So let's change the scale a bit, and actually for now I'll just make it big so we can see both of those. We'll change that eventually when we want to render it out. We'll make the resolution match up for the final render, but since we've got two, we'll go ahead and scale so we can see both. All right, so far so good. Let me just check some things since this is one of my first streams. Just make sure we're still streaming, still recording. That all looks good. Yeah, doing well so far. I'm sure there will be things to improve as I get going with this, but so far so good. It seems fun, and this is the kind of thing usually I would have done on my own. So the only real difference here is just kind of narrating along with what I do and streaming it. Okay, let's add a few more textures across this. So same thing we did here. Maybe we can clean this up a little bit and then kind of duplicate a group. So what we're going to want, I guess, this multiplier and addition. Like if we're trying to add a third texture and we want the transition somewhere over here, we would just need this again with those changed, and then that can factor into another mix shader. So I'm going to see what happens if I group these. Yeah, group, and then just going to connect these two values, and those, let's see, I can rename those, so that's not bad actually, multiplier and added. Maybe we'll make this like angle and location, position. Cool, that'll work. I don't know how to get out of this group view. The output is a color, that'll work. This is one of the things I haven't done before. I don't know how to get out of the group. Alright, calling in the internet. Okay, there we go, we got everything now. Group nodes, let's just search for this, Blender group nodes. Maybe there's a quick cheat sheet for how to use the interface. Add a group, tab control tab. Control tab, there we go. Cool, and there's our group. So that's good, something learned. So I'm just gonna duplicate these two together. And then so I've got another mix and another node group. So this will get the same UV coordinate in. We'll change the angle and position in a second, and then we can move these around, move this over here. So it'll be one of the inputs to this. And then now we've got a bunch of gray, which is where our next texture will plug in. So let's add another texture. Actually, let's do the position first. Let's just change this to a color for a second. And then we will adjust the position. And maybe adjust the angle just a little bit. No, maybe we'll keep the angle the same. Do that. So they're parallel. If I keep those together. We'll move this over a bit. I think I want to just barely cutting the corner like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that'll work for me. Let's take a step back. Let's see what that looks like on these profile pictures too. Change the view a little bit. Yeah, so we don't get a ton of it on these, but if we want to, we can always kind of fine tune that at the end. When we're going to render those out, we can just move the values around a little bit. Clean that up, and then what happens next? Let me see. We should fix the brightness of these. Right now they're illuminated with this light, which you can see if I move around, changes the brightness a lot, and we get this like specular reflection that's not great. Let's try and fix that up. Let's see. So I think what I want to do is turn on ambient occlusion, and then what do I want to do? Maybe more what I want is like a global illumination type thing. And what does bloom look like? Doesn't change much. We'd always change the light around. Make this a. We can make this a sun lamp. Oops, gotta turn my view back on. And then the only thing that should matter is the angle. So that's super bright, I think. Bring the strength down. Bring the strength down a lot. Yeah, bring it down even more. And that's not horrible. That's probably not the ideal way to do it, but that certainly works. Certainly brightened up the image. That'll do for now. We might come back and play with that again later. Okay, so let's see. Next things we want to do, I think it'd be interesting to change a little bit these transitions, so they're not just blend like this. And actually, since we have this Voronoi texture, what I'm thinking, because this isn't necessarily what I actually want for this middle texture, but it would be an interesting way to transition. So if these groups, yeah, so if this factor, basically if this factor that goes into this color ramp got multiplied with the Voronoi, we could kind of have these cells along the edge be defining the boundary, and that might be a little more interesting. So let me. We already have the Voronoi texture, so let me just add another math node, and we can do the multiply. Oops. We do multiply. We can put this value here, and then we can. Then we can just change that from the outside. Call this transition. Oops, can't type. Transition, as in like transition texture. Okay. What was it? Control Tab? Yeah. Cool, and that did add it to both. That's awesome, really. I've never used groups enough to really understand that's how it worked. So if I just take the color now and plug it into that transition, cool, that definitely did something. We'll need to adjust it a little bit. You can see now we go from over here, we still have the solid blue color, and then over here, when we had certain values, either low or high, looks like low, then we get this same solid blue color. And if the values are above threshold, that probably has to do with the color ramp, then we get the original cells. So that's really cool. Let's go back into this group, and then just adjust this a little bit. So if I move these over, I'm guessing we get, yeah. So this kind of, oops, this kind of defines where the transition happens. And by doing this, I'm in the group nodes, so this is affecting both. You can see the static image sort of rolling over as well. But let's find a value. I'm going to move that all the way over for a second. So you can see when it's allowed to fade, It's just giving like a blue tint to those on the left side. So let's move this enough that we get mostly blue over here on the left side. And then we'll make the transition real sharp again. Actually, I might change this so it's completely sharp. If I change this to constant, then it's actually only this one that matters. And I can move it over a little bit. And now we have, well, maybe that's not what I want. So now we have a solid line multiplied against the cells, which works for some, but it cuts off others. So let's not do that. Let's put that back to linear, and then we'll move this back up. Like we were doing before, so we want some to be completely covered, and then move that back pretty close. And now we get kind of this transition where it's sort of per cell, but it's mostly blue in this upper left corner, and then it's mostly just cells for the rest. Now what we did do by changing it here is we changed both of these. But that might be okay once we plug this in. So we use the same transition factor. Yeah, so you can see what that did. That's kind of cool. So in some cells, we're showing the static texture, and it tends, so it gives more density over here in the lower right corner like we had before, but you can see even up here and a little bit over here, there's kind of a random chance can make it show up based on the cell of the color of the Voronoi cell. Okay, let's play with the position just a little bit to make make this a little more solid. Let's see. I have to ungroup these. I think if we were, oops, if I were adjusting these, I could probably really easily get what I want. Let's see if that's a true statement. So what I want, I kind of want to make the bottom corner completely static, not just certain cells. We can get that. There's way too much static over here. But that could be adjusted now with just the position this other way. Yes, that is what I want, something like that. But now I've gotten rid of the blue. Let's see if we can fix that just with the position. Oh, we can. That's not bad. I was worried because we were adjusting. That color ramp together, we might not get a value that works for both, but that's not bad. I'll move the color ramp to like there. Maybe a little more out. I think I want it to cover this bottom corner actually. So if I do like, what is that, 0.2? So if I do 0.15 maybe, just a little bit more, 0.13. Yeah, that's nice. And then in both of these, it actually hits the bottom edge. So this full left edge would be just a solid color, which is what I want more or less. Do I think I want this corner to be completely static? But we have a static texture already. If I just add another mix node, we could do that really easily. So which one? This one's the static, right? not what I expected. Oh, because I don't have a factor. Oh, so yeah, that's why. This isn't the color, that should be the factor. So the color, one of these colors should be the texture as we had it, and then the other should be the static texture, which is this. Although the factor, move these around just a bit. We want this factor to be a little different. Do we just want it multiplied? If we just multiply it, will it get stronger? Let's try that. If I multiply it by, oh, it's in that group. I was gonna just pull out the x-coordinate again. Okay, well I see some of the advantages and disadvantages of groups. So that's been a good learning experience. Yeah, let me delete that. So if I just add if I use, sorry, let me go back to what we had. Let's look at this. So I think if I have another node group, feed in the same UV coordinate. But for the transition, I'm not going to feed in the Voronoi. And then I'll plug this into the factor, static, and then let's look at just this for a second. Oh, it's not plugged in. That's why I can't see it. Yeah, so now we can put this like down at the corner and make it really dense. I think I'm going to rotate it just a little bit more, and we'll get it down here. Way to make this, I think there's a way to do like smaller increments. Yeah, if I hold down shift. That was a good guess. Okay, yeah, so something like that, and now let's add it back in to the rest and see what we got. Yeah, that's nice. So that's kind of what I'm going for. So I have the cells. It looks like I'm fading, but I just add some extra strength to add that other texture in at the end. Yeah, let's maybe we'll show just a little bit more of it, and so I'll adjust the position just slightly. Use that trick of holding shift again. Yeah, I don't know if I actually changed it, but something like that looks good. Okay, and then I said that I like using the Voronoi texture for the transition. That's kind of cool. Although, that's interesting. Here there's a lot of fading. I guess the way I multiply it, I was really asking for that. Yeah. Let me think if there's an easy way to fix that. Or if we really need to fix it. I could probably do, I could do something to the strength of these Voronoi cells. Actually, let's do that real quick. That might help everything. Since the other thing I was saying is I like using these Voronoi cells for the transition, but they're not the actual texture I think I want to show here in the middle, though I don't know what I do want to show. So let's just add a color ramp though on those. Oops. Color ramp on figure out how to do so what I actually want to do is add this everywhere that this texture was being used previously. Okay, so this one made them all black and white, and then I can make the transition harder. If I do this, do a constant. Actually, we're still going to have that because I'm multiplying by a value that varies here. Huh, that's an interesting problem. I haven't dealt with that. I wonder how we could get basically want each Voronoi cell to come out a constant color even after this multiplication. Maybe that's the trick. Maybe it just shouldn't be a multiplication. Let me get rid of that again temporarily. Let me go into this node group. So I have a multiply add, and what I'm thinking is maybe this shouldn't be a multiply. Maybe it should be I'm thinking we could make it like make it the max. Although then we'd still have this issue, but it'd probably be less frequent. We'll see. So let's split this up. I'm going to turn this into a separate add and multiply. So this will just be the add these two values, and then that'll plug in where this one was, and instead of a multiply add, it will be just a multiply. Should give us what we had before, and that looks like what it did more or less. So now we can change this multiply. Let's play around with other things. And I am going to zoom in here for everybody's benefit, yours and mine. What if we do minimum? Not better. Compare value epsilon. We're still getting fades. Okay, maybe I'm not on the right track. Okay, well, we can go back to our multiply for now. Yeah, go back to the multiply. I'll give that some thought. We'll come back to it. So we'll get out of the group. I'll leave that there. That's not hurting anything. I'm going to do one thing here. I'm just going to save this so we don't lose it. We'll call this banners 1. Good idea. Now we'll have a way to recover if we need to. Take a quick look at how these are doing. Not bad. They're definitely different. Probably want to make the cells smaller if I end up doing the same thing on those. Okay. Couple of things though. Like I said, I don't want the Voronoi texture to be what's actually shown here. I just want it to be kind of the mask. So let's add another texture that we do want to be our texture. And this, like I said, I don't know exactly what I want. Let's Let's try some magic texture. So same object coordinate, and then this will come in. This is Voronoi texture, and actually it's connected here. So in two places it goes in, it's just kind of the transition factor. Those we'll leave alone. But here where it comes in as color information, that's what we want to override. And there we go. There's our magic texture. Let's change this around a little bit. So if we scale that to be much bigger, some distortion. That's interesting. Magic is not what I thought it was. Let's do something else. Let's add a clouds texture maybe. Which is not an option. Sky texture? No. Oh, great. Oh, we probably could have used a gradient texture in place of that XY. A noise texture. This might be kind of neat. We'll see what happens. Go back here. That's something. It's not perfect, but alright, let's make some adjustments. We can change the scale here and make this bigger, kind of a cloud texture. Add some distortion. Yeah, that's kind of weird. But I like it. Let's hit it with a color ramp. And then I think a lot of the colors here, plus this blue color, we got to change. We're gonna make these the colors we actually want. And yeah, thinking here how I want to do this. Let's just start. Let's pick some colors. Let's add a few positions here. Okay. Let's see what we do for a theme. What if we do like a, just grab the wrong slider. If we do like a fully saturated sort of a thing. We do like a blue. We'll make these not equal. Let's do like a yellow, same thing, fully saturated. And then, yeah, value up as well. Let's check this one. Full saturation, full value, I think. Gives us like a total cyan. That's not bad. Oops, I don't need to change the hue. Saturation and value up. And then make this like a darker blue. It's interesting. Adds kind of a lot of contrast. If we make this the same light blue again, and so I gotta stop messing with the hue. Okay, not like a white. Not actually a huge fan of what I put together here. Let's try this like a purple or magenta. Let's do more. More purple. Although that just doesn't. There's not a lot of that in the image. So let's just get rid of that one, and we'll. Yeah, now we're getting that. I think we need to move this one up, so we get a lot of that. I didn't actually want this much of the yellow. That should just be like a very thin line. Oh, I was actually going to do this constant. Just changes how we line these up. Yeah, so now we get some like solid colors. That's kind of nice. I like the positions at least. I do still want to change the colors. This purple now we do want to see, and I want to see it in place of this one, so we'll get rid of that. Then we'll go down here until we get some of this purple picking up. And then I think I want to add just some of the purple to these blue islands as well. So if we duplicate both these, oops, that was the wrong one. Oh, that's always going to be the wrong one. That's okay. I can add it and just use the color picker. So this one, oops, I missed it. This one we want to be the same purple, but just for a small bit. Just open up some islands of color there. That's kind of fun. Maybe not everybody's style, but I like it. Let's go change this blue color, because now this is pretty bad with everything else we've got going on. So that blue color comes in here, and curious what happens if I do just make it the same blue color as everything else. That's okay. Let's try something else though. Let's just change the hue to more of a green. These are some bright colors. Yellow, red, purple. I definitely like it more saturated. We might actually go, oh, that's nice, just like a total blue. Yeah, that's not too far off from what I had before. Yeah, and let's just make it like completely pure computer blue. So all blue, no red or green. It's nice. Low entropy sort of a color. Okay, and then I think I like this. Probably the last thing I want to do is I actually want to do one more transition. This this noise texture, the kind of pond ripple splotches. I think I want to do one more transition as it comes over here towards the noise. Towards this side of the image, we're going to add one more transition. My node tree is getting messy, but we'll find the right nodes when we'll add it. Maybe we'll even clean them up. And I'm just going to change, like this is, I've got this like constant, which gives these like really sharp edges. Let me pull this up, this node. So it gives these completely sharp edges. But if I go to any of the others really, if I go to linear, then it's like faded between them. And we could adjust the spacing a little bit. So I want to keep this constant on the left side, so I get this nice sharp crisp edges. But then over here on the right side, I want to change it a little bit so that it's more faded, a little like blurred almost between the colors, but still lining up, so it's like a smooth transition to where they're crisp. So let's figure out how to do that. I'm going to zoom out here. Actually, let's make this full screen for a second. Our node tree. So the tools we have to work with. I'm going to want to duplicate this color ramp and give it the same input because I want it to start out as exactly the same thing. And then I think I'm just going to feed this in. I'll do the transition and everything and feed it into this mix node, which is currently where just the one is going in. So let me add another mix. Add it on this pipe that's coming in. So it'll get these two colors. And if we look back right now, that shouldn't affect anything. And it didn't, so that's great. And I want this factor to again be a function of location, which we have in these other node groups, right? Any of these that go to a factor. Let me clean this up just a little bit so we can see how these go together. So just bear with me. Those two go into that, this and this. Oh, that goes in there. What's the other one? Oh, this is the noise texture directly. Yeah, that's fine. So that can come over here. Just trying to clean up the. I guess I care about the end more than the beginning. So I have that going in. Oh yeah, because I used this one twice. Okay, so that goes into both of those. That goes into that one. We'll get this. We'll get it cleaned up. Okay, and then just the factor for that one, the factor for that one, and the factor for that one. That's not too bad. Okay, and then I've got my new mix node here. It needs a factor, which is going to be very similar to any of these. So let me duplicate that. And I don't want it to cut anything. But I did want to use the same. I'll use the UV coordinates for the vector. The angle and position I'll type in the transition. Will just be will just be a value as well, just like this one, that last noise. We'll just put it in. So this, put up here somewhere. This will be the factor for this texture. And now let's look at our texture again. Okay, and now we'll just adjust it. We should be able to just adjust the values for this node group and get what we want. So the position. Oh, this is really subtle to see. Let's do. I don't have Node Wrangler set up right now, but if I just plug this in to the base color directly. Yeah, now we can see. So we can put this the transition just exactly where we want it. And I think I want it somewhere here, and I want it a little more vertical than the others. And does this transition value kind of affects the blur of it as well as the position? Give it a decent amount of blur, and then we'll move it back. here, I might end up putting a color ramp or something on this so that it spreads out even more. But let's start with that and see what it looks like. I just need to plug in this output again to the right one. Oh, and the other thing, let me go back to this. The other thing is I probably need these to be more pure black and more pure white. Let's just do the color ramp, since that's what I wanted to do anyway. And we'll make, let's see, I'll add one more value. Is that doing anything? Not at all. Oh, because it's I'm not visualizing it even. Okay, change that. Let me just make this a lot brighter. Oh, I need to. How can I make this? I need to make this darker. This is set to completely black, so what is coming out of this node group must not be completely black. Okay. I don't want to change this group too much because I am using it in so many other places. Let's see. Let's go back to. Let's look at our actual output because that's what matters. This is definitely not a tutorial on the best way to do this. Just a stream of me doing it. Okay. So I know we have a transition, but right now we're showing the exact same thing. So let's change this so we can look at the transition. That's actually not bad. It's not where I want it, but you can see right here there's a fairly hard line where we go from really sharp to faded, and then it's pretty constantly faded out here. So let's we can move these around a little bit. They should basically all go to the right because if you look at the other one with this constant, you can see like all the way up to the position of the second one is this cyan color. So if we want it to look similar, we should probably put this more like we should line these up where each one of these is sort of in the middle of where it is above. So let me do that. So that'll get slid over. This yellow goes to like the middle of the yellow range. Same as purple, except that gave me a ton of yellow, which is not what I want. I still want that pinched pretty close. although more blurry than it is otherwise. Is this purple? Let's see. I want some space between things. I don't want it all too sharp. I don't want it too sharp, but that is that's a lot of yellow now. Here, just a little bit. I guess I've got to make a decision. Do I like which bothers me more, the yellow or the sharpness? I think the sharpness. We'll give the yellow its space. Yeah, that'll be all right. Okay, now let's just change this position around. So you can see there, that's probably easier to see when I move the transition. You can kind of tell what was sharp and what's not. So I want it somewhere around here. I will make it more parallel with the others, even though I said I wasn't going to do that. And then instead of blurring it, let's sort of push it around. So in this vector, let's do some vector math. So just the input vector will change a little bit, and I'll get another texture node. I think we'll do noise again. We'll just make it a very different noise texture. Let's, while we're doing this, let's look just at the output of this texture space. So that definitely changed it. So right now how does it work? I'm going to undo that. Yeah, so the bright spots are sort of blurry, and where it's dark gray is sharp. I should just change this. Alright, I've got two things going on here. I'm going to mute both of those, and we should get back to what we had, I think. Maybe that wasn't the right idea. Well, I do want to do this. We'll go ahead and do this. So this noise, we just want, I want this to be pretty big. I don't need a lot of detail. I do want a fair bit of distortion. Oh, I don't want to multiply. This will be better. I want to multiply this original vector by the noise texture with the same input. Now let's adjust it. Oh, no, I don't want to multiply. I want to I don't know what I want to do exactly. Yeah, that's sort of it. Just want this, the same transition that this was providing. I just want it to be a little rough and a little bit splotchier. So, and yeah, to have this kind of that kind of look. Not too much detail at all, it turns out. And then the scale. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Okay, and then we'll have to change the position again. So where it is, oops. So where it's white, I expect it to be blurred, and where it's dark, I expect it to be sharp. If I go back to the original output. And it seems like that's what it did. So sharp and blurred, but with kind of edges transitioning between sharp and blurred. Yeah, so that's interesting. Cool, let's take a look. So definitely I came into this without knowing exactly what I had in mind. We definitely got a result. Let me save this. I think I'm going to use this. I think this does everything I need it to do. Though we'll probably make some changes. I think we'll make some changes for these, and we'll add maybe some type or something. So let's get the scene ready to export, and I'll go ahead and do that right now. I'm not going to change. Not going to change anything else about the artwork itself, I think. Let's set up our outputs. I'm actually going to do two scenes too. Although we can set up the first one and then duplicate it. So this one, oh, I turned off my tools. So this plane seems to be in front as far as the Z buffer is concerned. So we'll do this one first, and this was for YouTube. So let's set up our resolution. So we'll make this 2048. We'll make this 1152, and that should match exactly the aspect ratio of that plane, because we use the same thing. If I look at the details here, yeah, we had typed in it's off by a factor of 10, but the ratio is the same. So let me go back to the camera and the camera settings, and we just need to change this orthographic scale until it exactly matches. Actually, it doesn't even need to exactly match. We can just, as long as we're inside, we'll render this out, and it will give us that image. Although I will make it close because that's how we designed it. It overlaps the corner just how I wanted it to, things like that. Yeah, there it is. And I think we got the lighting worked out okay with that sunlight. Yeah, probably update these someday. But they're a lot better than the blank images that are up there right now. So let's render these. Got our denoising stuff on. Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna hit F12 here, and I'm gonna untile this window. There we go. Just so that goes over. And I think we've got our result already. That's fast. It's not a complicated scene, and it's just a texture. So let's save this, and we'll call this banner 01. May as well just put the resolution in it. What was the resolution of this? Was I don't have my other window up. It was 2048 by 1152. And let's save this, yeah, as a ping. Pings, I believe, are always, I think they're lossless, so the compression really just affects the speed. Let's crank it up because there's no reason not to. Color depth, I would think 8-bit should be fine. Okay, so we'll save that. Okay, and then let's see, I seem to have moved windows around here inadvertently. Okay, back to this. I'm gonna call this the same thing. 2048 by 1152. I'm starting to get those numbers, and then just duplicate this scene. We will do a full copy, and then we'll rename this to the other size we're going to do. I'm going to look at my notes. That is going to be, so I'm just looking at the Twitch website. This is the logo or the banner we're going to use for Twitch. So this would be 1200. Oops, if I can get focus, 1200 by 480. That's what they recommend. Okay, and then we just switch our camera around to match. So back into camera settings, still orthographic. Oh no, let's change the output resolution first. So 1200 by 480, and that'll change the aspect ratio, and it matches this other one. And then let's just, oops. I'm just going to move this one back so that this image, which is the one we want to render, is in first. Before it was, if I undo this, it was clipping a little bit. There's like a transparency. Well, I guess it's worked itself out. I'll have to go check the other image, make sure that that it didn't become an issue in the first image we did. In any case, though, we've got this one in front. So if we go to the camera view, oh, did that just work itself out? To be, oh no. So now we can just scale this again. Let's make it match up with this one, more or less. A little less just to be safe. Make sure we're inside, but I think that 23 would have been clear. I'll get rid of that menu. Yes, that's what that'll look like. Yeah, good enough. Let's render that out. And we'll save that. And just give it the right file name with the dimensions. 1200 by 480. Same thing. Same thing for the same reasons. Okay, so we've got those two images. Now let's make another copy, and we'll make this the avatar icon. I don't know if you remember, those are still there, but those are still there. So let's do this in this scene. Let's just move these out of the way. Let's move these two shapes into the view. Oh, and I have my I think my default cube was still there. Oh, he wasn't hurting anybody. He was behind all this. Okay, now if we go back into the camera view. So now this is easy enough. This will be a square aspect ratio, and I've got 1200 plugged in there. Let's just make this 1200, and then we'll go to the. If I select the camera, we can go to the camera settings, the graphic, and we will change the scale until. Zoom this out until we are inside the square. Okay, so here's what I think. I think the services I'm using mostly display a circle icon, but it gets cropped out of a square image. So that's why I'm actually what I'm gonna render out is the square, and then I'll let the services make it a circle. The circle was kind of just so I could see what it's gonna look like. Though I do kind of almost like the way the texture coordinate lines up on the circle more. I'm gonna grab the empty and move it over. Oh, that was my empty. I'm glad I didn't delete it. Well, I guess this wasn't. I ended up using the UV coordinates for the things that matter, I guess. Is that what I did? Yeah, I was using UV for everything. The object coordinates just go to things like the noise texture, which doesn't really matter because that's just noise. What else did I use it for? No, the Voronoi texture gets the object. So that we should see those changing. If I grab this empty and I move it around, I would have expected that to move these cells for both of these. What's the other one it goes to? Just again to the white noise texture. Huh, that's kind of interesting. If I change, yeah, it's definitely the right texture. The object coordinates using that empty. What if I select something else? What if I select, is there a picker? No. But if I select so many planes. If I select the plane, it does change it. It doesn't make it better. I thought I'd done a full copy. Am I working on a linked copy? I don't want to be changing. Let me change scenes. I don't want to change too much. Because it says I've got 12 users of this texture. Well, that's interesting. I guess I don't know how. Yeah, I guess I don't know how scenes work completely. Because I thought that would copy everything over, but maybe it's just like object data. In any case, let me make, for this object at least, and I'll do this one, let me make another copy of this material. And we may as well name it. Okay, a couple changes I wanted to make. I think just in the smaller format, I think this blue I want to change. I think this should be closer to this purple color. I'm going to do the color picker, grab that purple. I think that just makes it easier being the same. Although I might want to make it very pure purple. No, I'll keep it. I'll keep it the way it is. Then it's consistent throughout. And I'm pretty happy with the way the blur effect goes through this is kind of cool. It definitely, they don't line up. Like we knew, we get a lot more yellow on the blurred version than the other one. The transition between the blurred and not blurred is pretty crisp. But that's fine. That's pretty nice. Let's add something. So this is the way it's gonna usually show up. It's kind of a circle. I'm thinking I was thinking of adding just some text. Now I'm sort of debating that. Let's see what that looks like. We'll add a text object. How it's rotated. We can say like ME for middle entropy. Get this back in here. I'm going to duplicate this object. Where'd it go? Just so I can put it over the circle as well. But we're going to make some changes to this. Let's give it a texture. Let's give it the same texture. But then let's change it. Let's just let's start just making it darker. So we'll do another mix node, and with just a color, I guess. Oh, not a vertex color. Just RGB. Yeah. Okay. So that does that. If we make this dark, it shows it's mapping the texture coordinates really differently. Probably need to do, oops, that gives me into text edit mode. Oh, because that's a text object. The edit mode, it just is typing. And now I can't see what I'm doing. Let's go back into shading to get rid of all that. All right, let's see what we can do in the text space, because this is like a maybe we can get what we want here. I was thinking of, well, we made a separate texture for this, so we could just remap. I don't want to remap everything. We could also just make it dark. That's easier, and it gives us kind of the effect we want. So we'll leave this as is. We'll just plug that in. So just a dark color, but then we'll change the alpha value. And let's see. I think we need to enable that for Eevee, and I'm not going to remember where that is. Blend mode, alpha blend. Yeah, that works, at least for the viewport. We'll see what we get in the render. So that's with full alpha. I think I want it to show through just slightly, and now I'm looking at this circular one. Yeah, that's nice. And we could give it we're darkening it, but we could give it a little bit of color. Maybe the color's too much though. Oh, we could also lighten it. That's what it looks like with just a color. Just a white. I guess we're never gonna get a pure white the way I did this. Probably the dark is better. If I move these, now you can see how the texture coordinate is set up, that some of these things move with the circle, and some don't. That noise texture in the back does not. Neither does the Voronoi. Those stay with that empty. So moving this empty should move those. But it doesn't seem to be. It's not what I would have expected. Okay, and I'm gonna move the camera over. We actually are gonna use the circle. Actually, what happens when I skip the circle one? Oh, I take that back. I was gonna say I'm gonna use the circle one because I just like the random pattern slightly better. For it, I really wish moving this empty worked the way I thought it should. Maybe it's just not updating real time. If I snap it in, nope. Is that the right object? Object, empty. Oh, and I'm doing empty O2. Oh, because it's pointing to the other scene. If I make this empty O2, now I can grab empty O2. And now it moves like I expect. Okay, so I kind of like what's in the circle better than what's in the square. And I think I've got this separated by how much? Oops. Snapping's not working the way I expect. Grab. Okay, no, it's snapping to the grid. So if I just move that there, then I get what was in the circle. And I guess I can fine tune it even more if I want. But it's sort of not bad, just as it was. Okay, I like that. And go to the other view here. That's not bad, the letters. Let's see if we want to do anything else with them. We can do... I mean, these are the options we have without converting it to a mesh object or anything. We can bevel those. That's not, probably not better. Maybe like a little bit of a 3D effect. That's kind of cheesy. We know it's 3D. Texture base is fine. I want to look for like this. Yeah. Oh, well, that's not what I was expecting. Oh, because that was size. I was expecting sheer. So we could do this, like line it up with the oops. We could line it up with the transitions if we wanted to. I don't know if we want to. So that's what shear does. That's probably, so what were we at before? If we do like half of that, move it over again. We can change the font. I don't have any other fonts installed at the moment. Yeah, I don't. I think we will though make it a little bit, not that much. I'm gonna play with making it a little bolder. No, we start to just fill in the letters really quickly. The abstract. Okay, yeah, that's not good. None of that. Extrude was, whoa. That's not what I expected. Does that actually show up in the render like that? It does. That's absolutely not what I expected. I guess we're just seeing shadow. The extrude is just moving it out away from the plane. That's fine though. I mean, that's kind of interesting. We've got a taper radius, taper override. Depth, I'm going to play with it one more time. Now I think it kind of causes like knots where things overlap. At least they shouldn't. I want to leave that out. Okay, I think we might have it there. Okay, I am going to, just because I'm not convinced that I understand how scenes work, I'm going to save this as a new file since we made, I don't think we messed anything up, but actually we can just call this avatars. Because I don't think we messed anything up on the banners, but I do want to keep those original files just in case. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's render this out. That looks good. That's really big, but that's okay. And this will get like cropped in anywhere we put it. So do this, and we will call it just avatar 01 1200 by 1200. Save that, and now we've got our images. Let's go do a quick check. So here are the images. Oops, put on the wrong monitor. Having some trouble here. All right, there we go. So there's that. There's that. There's that. So this is real size. I might render this one out again at like double resolution or something. I think this was the recommended size, but we'll see. I guess it depends on if when I upload it, if they crop from it or exactly what they do. Actually, that's a good question. That's not something I totally considered. Is when I upload these at different screen resolutions, different devices, and all of that, how they use it. Do they crop out a section? Do they scale it? I guess that'll have an effect on the appearance. But I think we'll see how it goes. I mean, they're abstract enough, not too worried about it. So I think it's time to wrap up the stream. We got what we wanted. I came to make a banner image and an avatar image that I could put up on the Twitch and the YouTube channels, and we got that. So I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna go upload these images so you can watch for these soon. Should appear on the channels, and yeah, that's that. If you're watching the stream or the recording, thanks. Hope you come along for the next one. And I think I'm having a good time. This was the first longer stream. Last one yesterday was just kind of a quick test. So this was interesting. And I think I definitely managed to stay more focused than when I'm just working on my own, doing the stream like this. So I'll be doing this again. I'm looking forward to the next one. That's it here. See you next time.